Today, January 1st, it's a little early by the calendar date, but by the church date, it is time to celebrate the conclusion of the 12 days of Christmas, or the 13 holy nights, choosing on how you want to count it. But it leads us up to January the 6th, the day of the Epiphany, the day that many cultures have celebrated as Three Kings Day. That is the day to celebrate the Magi's discovering of the newborn child in Bethlehem. It is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew in the most specific way. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men, or magi, or astrologers, from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born a true King of the Hebrews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage and honor." When King Herod heard of this, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem with him. A new king, and calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them, where was the Messiah, the Holy One, the Anointed One, to be born? They told him, according to prophecy, in Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written, "And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with great joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. And so here we have this wonderful image. Oh, it can be understood in many ways from the culture at that time. You see, the Magi are thought to have been Babylonian astrologers from a country that had persecuted the Hebrews, that had even taken them centuries before into bondage and slavery. And so that's not exactly the neighbors you would think that would say, "Wow, something has risen within your Hebrew people that we wish to praise, that we wish to celebrate." That in itself is odd. The king's wisdom was that of reading the wisdom of the stars, which at that time was a custom and a form of wisdom that was not acceptable in the Hebrew culture. The priests had always refrained from looking to the stars in the sense of astrology and the constellations to lead the people. So you see, that's why Herod needed the help of the Magi. His learned priests would not know how to find this star. Now, we've grown accustomed through Christmas cards from good old Hallmark and movies and so forth to thinking that that star over Bethlehem was such an obvious sight that the whole world would have seen it. Yet, if we go back and actually study the heavens from that time, the sign that these wise astrologers was following was not obvious to the physical eye. It required their wisdom and their understanding of the universe to realize that there was a sign of something of extraordinary importance happening over the land of Palestine. So Herod needed them to guide him to this so-called Son of God or new king of the Hebrews. For he wanted to find this child, for he wished to extinguish the light, to kill the child that might threaten his power. And so he asked for the kings or the Magi to come back and inform him. But of course they were warned in a dream or in an inner intuition that they were not to report back to Herod, but to sneak off another way back to their own country of Babylon. So there's a lot hidden in this story. And in my lesson we will speak of the gifts that were offered of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So here we are, beginning a new year. Of course, as spiritual beings, we can acknowledge a new beginning outside of time. That is, we can find a new beginning in our change of thought any time during the calendar year. It's just that day one is a very obvious point on the calendar to stop and consider. How new is this new year for me? Well, we might ask ourselves, do we truly desire to enter this new year unencumbered, with fresh sight, open and receptive feeling, and a new confidence and courage in our actions? Well, I think we do, because our society tends year after year to begin the year with what? Resolutions, or going to the gym. Anderson Cooper last night on CNN would not admit, he said any resolutions he made would be dumb. He wouldn't give any to his co-host. But he did want to make the commitment to going to the gym more. So that was a resolution, or a new way that he wanted to do. He just didn't put it in the form of a statement. I will or I will not do such and such. So we all have areas in our life where we wish to approach the problem anew. Nobody truly wants to be insane. And we know that definition of insanity from the amazing Albert Einstein. Some have attributed it to Benjamin Franklin, but I'll go with Albert Einstein. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But sometimes that can be how we approach our new year, in an insane way. In that, we think, well, I'll just keep doing the same thing I'm always doing, but boy, I'm sure hoping for new, exciting results this year. This will be the year that I lose the weight. This will be the year that I have greater abundance in my finances. This is the year that I'll find that special someone. This is the year that my career will take off. But I do have my routine daily or weekly schedule to follow. So this is the perfect time, and our burning bowl ceremony today is the perfect outer picture or image to reflect to us what is possible within us, what is possible for change. Now, I mentioned this wonderful story of the Magi, not only because it's the time for telling of that story within the cycle of the Christian church. It comes at this time of Epiphany, which will be January the 6th. Some traditions, and particularly Roman Catholic, have a specific service for Epiphany regardless of what week it falls on. In Unity, we tend to associate it with the first Sunday of the new year. Epiphany, it's a funny word. Sometimes you may hear in literature, oh, I had an epiphany. Or it's like